even for those that withdrew, retired, semi-retired, and now have come back, you just use that same NSSF number. If you have forgotten it, you can come with your national ID and we'll be able to retrieve it. Now what happens for Smart Life? So you have the 13-digit number, we open wallets. So you have the mandatory contributions that come in from your employer under that wallet. Then you have the Smart Life, which we deem as the voluntary saving in another wallet. And when time comes for you to claim, you can then, you know the mandatory has the restrictions for retirement, but you can choose that I want to withdraw the one that is in Smart Life. Maybe my goal time has reached. I hope that answers that question very well. Account. How do I withdraw for my Smart Life? Smart Life is flexi. You see that term, Smart Life flexi, it's flexible. And why we set these short-term goals, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, is to build that culture of saving. So ideally, if you've set a goal for 1 year, as soon as 1 year elapses, you just click and you click on either the app or you preempt us at NSSF and say, I want to withdraw my Smart Life savings. And in about 1 or 2 days, TAT, you get your Smart Life savings. So it's very easy, it's flexible. Even the saving for that money is very easy. We have partnered with MTN and Airtel, and you can just dial a code and keep sending. Remember the lady that is in Owino Market? She's using Hackatoach to just save for Smart Life Flexi. So it's very easy to save, but also very easy to withdraw. And maybe since I'm doing a Smart Life, I could also answer the one of my child. Yes, my child. Yes, can I save for my child? You may not necessarily save for a child, but you can name the goal and say, this education goal is for my child, T. And in 5 years, if I've just given birth, I have a baby. So in 3 years, maybe 4, she'll be starting school. So this is the time to start saving for her. And once that time comes, if God helps me and I still have the ability to use my incomes, I may not necessarily come for that, that goal. I may leave it to keep running for the time that I need it. I'll give an opportunity to my other panelists to answer the question.
I think on the Smart Life was, if you save $1 million shillings, withdrawing is as flexible as you can decide I only want 10, I only want 20, as frequent as you want. So that's the beauty of it, there's flexibility that's built into it. And I believe the question that you asked about, yes, you can have a sub-account, as many as you want. In fact, you can even name the sub-account, but we recognize you as the member, because contractually, to be a member of the fund, you need to be 16. So you could even get a sub-account and you name that sub-account your child. But it is your account. You are the member until they become of age. Then you can give it to them.
There was a question on how do T-bills work.
How do T-bills and T-bonds work? Those are treasury bonds. What happens is the government borrows from the public. The instrument they use for borrowing is treasury bond. And these are auctioned normally by Bank of Uganda. Once a month, Bank of Uganda carries an auction, say we want to raise 100 billion shillings. So we all bid in terms when bids come from on air, okay, I want an interest rate of 10%, I want 12%, whatever it is. And then the people who win the bids, the government then gives them the treasury bond, which is a promissory guaranteed note from the government that they'll pay you. A T-bill is for 1 year. After 1 year, it matures, you get back your money. A T-bond lasts more than 1 year. In Uganda, they have one for 2 years, for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15, and 20 years. Other countries go up to 30 years. Typically, a treasury bond will give you interest twice in a year, every 6 months. If you've got a bond and, for example, 10 million shillings, and the interest rate on it is 10%, it means that if you look at that 1 year, you're entitled to 10 million times 10%, you're entitled to 1 million shillings of interest. But they'll break it into 2 parts. They'll give you 500,000 the first 6 months, 500,000 the second 6 months. At the end of the tenor, if it's a 5-year bond, at the end of the 5th year, you get back your principal. That's how it works.
Okay, Patrick, maybe you could also answer the one for mortgages. Can we lend?
Okay.
Can we?
No, we can't lend right now because one of the things we're going to do is we actually have plans for that. But in our act now, there is a specific clause that says we can't lend. Your mortgage, your account, your retirement, nobody can put a lien on it. And as many of you know, for you to lend, a bank will want to put a lien on your pension fund. So in the next round of amendments, we are going to go back to Parliament to plead with them to, at least at a minimum, allow to lend for purpose of housing. Because when you think about it, housing is actually part of Social Security. When they allow us to do that, most likely you can use part of your savings as collateral when you go to borrow from a bank. At that point, you're not as risky as the bank sees you, and hopefully they can give you a lower rate. Hopefully the requirement for down payment will be lowered to make it much easier for you to acquire that house. There's also something we are running out, and it actually falls under Smart Life. It is going to come, I believe, maybe before the end of this year. Within the Smart Life, there is a program we've built called Lamaka. It's called Lamaka actually, where you can actually see a house, or houses are coming, they could be in Mbale here, and say, I want to begin saving towards this house. You identify the plan, identify the house, and you actually begin to save for the next 4 years. And you could be saving for a down payment so that by the time you are ready in 4 years' time, you have the down payment needed and makes it much easier. So a number of things we are working around housing to help with in terms of getting that.
Tax, is our money taxed? How does the tax work?
The taxation that works for most pension funds, the taxes can be applied in 3 spots. They can be applied at contribution. They can be applied when NSSF invests and gets earnings, then URA can tax it there, or it can be taxed at the point at which you're exiting at benefits. Now, in Uganda, your contributions you give NSSF is paid after URA has taken their money. So your contributions are taxed. When we invest, the money we make, whether we put in bonds, whatever, also URA taxes. The good news is when you're taking your money, there's no tax applied on your benefit. We want to change that a bit. We want to change that and say, if we can have even the contribution not taxed. What do we mean by that? If you earn $1 million shillings and you're supposed to take 5%, which means you're taking 50,000 shillings of that saving, the less URA will tax you on the 950. The million, take out the 50, then they tax you on the 950. Right now, they're taxing on the entire million, so they are taxing your contributions. We don't know how far that will go. We're trying to negotiate with them because we think it will drive that. But the benefits, at least for now, the benefits are not taxed.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Phillips, I had distributed, I think.
I don't know who wants to take the next bit.
I'll give it to David. David. There was a question about the integration of the system. If someone wants to do Smart Life but voluntarily save, but also they are employed in our system, the portal, can that integration happen?
I think it's a learning curve, but at the moment, the portal is for mandatory. I don't know where we are going.
No, actually, if you use MTN, which is fully integrated now, and you have our NSSF app, as soon as you get in, it will ask you choose whether you want to save for mandatory or for Smart Life. Airtel, we are still in the process of designing that, and I think to also touch the portal, but at least on MTN side, you can actually, it gives that option to do, and eventually that will be fully done as we get there.
The good news is that at the moment, we're in the process of redesigning the employer schedule that you're using today. So we are introducing a new schedule that will capture both the mandatory and also the voluntary. So very soon we shall get all employers and we shall recall the old schedule, deploy a new one where if any of your employees tells you that from today going forward, in addition to my 5%, add this, you'll have the ability to do that on the same schedule. So we are working on that. And when that happens, there is no requirement that the employer must must match up that, okay? Except if the employer wants to voluntarily give you more than 10. But we are designing it largely to enable the individual employees who want to contribute more than 5%.
Okay, thank you, Geoffrey. David, still to you. Jenga was asking, reaching all organizations and educating them about compliance. There are some hidden employers. How are we reaching them?
Yeah, I think it's a genuine concern. Our appeal, first of all, before getting to how we get to employers, our appeal is that we come good as employers. Wherever you are, just to know that you are within the reach. You are in Uganda. We have empowered you to use the whistleblower portal on our website, but we also recognize that the employers that are not yet privy to have the internet. So what we do, we have these kinds of engagement like today. We have the radio talk shows in different languages in your districts, but also we have the foot soldiers, these RMs who comb the areas. But should you feel we have not reached your area, and you can have our contacts, because from here we'll share our contacts. There are toll-free lines. Make sure at least you get to us if we have not gotten to you. But the most important thing is, wherever you are, compliance should not be enforced on you. It should be something that is driven internally by organizations. Because at the end of the day, these are your employees. They do business for you. They create value for you. Take care of them as they work for you.
Yes, and David, you could just add employees who don't want to save. What do we do for those ones? The employees themselves.
The best we can do, first of all, is to sensitize. And I will share with you a story. I was in Western Uganda in a school called Mbale High School. And I'm meeting non-teaching staff. You know, teaching staff of government schools are on payroll. So they are civil servants and they have pension. And these guys didn't want to pay because they are convinced that they earn little, so they need to take everything they earn. So when I sensitized them and I told them, you see, every day you are making Mbale High School a great school. In value, you are building Mbale High School. It's becoming more and more, but at your expense of life. Because the smoke you take in when you are cooking, when you are cleaning, when your life is going down, but the school value is going up. So this money, the 10%, is to compensate for the value that you give in. And guess what? Actually, one of them has become a friend. They put Mbale High School on pressure. I can tell you, in 6 months, Mbale High School was one of the most compliant schools, especially for that group. So our people, actually the Bible even says it, our people perish because of ignorance. I mean, why would someone refuse to be paid for? Because 10%, even if they don't pay it for you, they will not give it to you cash, isn't it? They will not give it to you cash. So you are making an extra money for the organization at your own expense. So I think it's an issue of sensitization. We'll keep sensitizing. And also, you people who are here, who are enlightened, please be the gospel tellers. Let's save our members who are in that kind of ignorance space. Thank you.
David, there was a question of the employers who are not registered, and the employees want their money. Can they bring the money when they are not registered? But also to add, I think Pastor Moding's question of employees who for some reason don't have national ID and are struggling with to have them registered, yet they are casuals, could tackle that as well.
Okay, the employers who don't want to register, I think we have talked about compliance, and registration is mandatory. As long as a company is registered under the laws of Uganda, and it hires or it employs one or more employees, that organization, that employer, that entity, that establishment is mandatorily required to register with NSSF. Failure to do that, you are breaking the law. So if you are not registered and you're employing Ugandans, you are employing any employee, you are breaking the law. So please come good and register. Something this?
That's it.
Sorry, employee registration.
Oh, yes. Now, this is an interesting one. Because I think we have had a forth and back discussion. It's a requirement by the law to access any national service in Uganda. You must have a national ID. So our discussion between us is, should we be seen to break the law, to facilitate breaking of the law? Because the schedule is very clear, and the services listed, National Social Security Service is one of them. But it's something that we have, I think, facilitated some employers through discussions and the partnership with NIRA to come and register from your premises. And that we will do, that we will support. But I think we need support from the political leaders, from the church leaders, from the cultural leaders present. We still have people who think, because of cultural beliefs and what religious beliefs, that registering is going to mark them, and then the number will be taken to certain, and then, you know, there is an employer, I think, in Busoga, in Jinja, that actually even had a letter. The employees had written to the employer that they don't want to register because their pastor had told them not to. So my brother, the pastor, and the religious leaders, I think again, it's something to do with the ignorance of our people. Let's sensitize them. It's a take we need to agree. Should we be seen to be facilitating breaking of the law? Because what we have done, at least, is we have developed a tool for non-Ugandans without proper documentation. But for Ugandans who are eligible to work, why wouldn't you want to have a national ID? Patrick, I think, come in here.
Your own employees just don't want to register with NSSF. And we've encountered this. We've supported a number of NGOs, big ones. One of the best mechanisms that you can employ as an employer is at the point of recruitment. Make it a condition that if you're applying for a job here, in addition to your academic documents, you also give me your NSSF number. It shouldn't become your burden afterwards to chase an employee who doesn't want to register. So many NGOs in this market nowadays, even if they want to appoint you, they cannot give you an appointment letter before you submit the NSSF number. Because if you don't do that, those employees will make you non-compliant, and yet when the penalties come, you no longer say that it's my employees who didn't want. The law protects the lesser persons. The law will still chase you, the employer. So make it a condition at the point when you're hiring people that having a number from NSSF is compulsory. If you don't have that number, then I'll not hire you. And trust me, because someone wants the job, they will register and they will get that number. Then, of course, on the issue of those that you already have, someone asked about the casuals that you have, you want to pay, but they don't have numbers. Even when it's true that we do not want to be seen to register people without national IDs, today, can you open a bank account without a national ID? In any bank? None. Can you get a SIM card without a national ID? No. Now, NSSF cannot be the one that does otherwise. But as you facilitate your staff to acquire these national IDs, we recognize the challenges. So if you have a group of casuals, no national IDs, you get in touch with our branch, with your relationship manager. They will come back to office and internally generate a TRN, a transaction reference number. that enables you to pay for those people even before they get numbers. Of course, that money will go to what we call a suspense account. The beauty is that it will still earn interest. As and when those people register, that money will be transferred from the suspense account to their respective numbers. It is better to pay for them even without numbers than to come back 10 years down the road and we are charging you penalties and interest and all that. I hope that helps.
Thank you. And I think also if it is a matter of support to give you as an employer, we also partner with NIRA. Our relationship manager can always support you in that case. Thank you. Do we still have more questions?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So Geoffrey, this will, I think, be the last ones.
One by one.
Yes. Can direct debits, are they possible, especially for Smart Life?
So,
the bank.
I mean, like Patrick said, Smart Life is very new. So we rolled out sometime in November. For now, we are dealing with one bank. The purpose is when we understand the product better, then we shall roll out other banks. And when that happens, of course, doing a direct debit will be one of the convenient things. So it is something that we shall work on.
Is it for the border riders?
For the border riders, not even border, but the informal economy. Smart Life is equally for them. We are organized in such a way that there is a team that is dealing with the informal economy. Even at our branch level, our branch is also meant to deal with the informal economy. Some of the people that are saving already are borders. Okay? So yes, even if I'm a border rider, I can sign up for Smart Life, and using my phone, okay, even if it's a cabinet phone, I can make the contribution. So yes, it caters for that as well.
Includes house helps as well.
Just to help, one of the things we found out is, you know, we've used the word informal sector. What we are learning is actually we've been misusing that word. Because what defines informal? The border guy registered his border, correct? He has got a phone, which means there is a phone number linked to his national ID, but we still want to call them border, because we're not earning a monthly check. But what we found out, interestingly, in all these places, the borders are organized in association and groups, sometimes by stages, sometimes. So now we are doing is we are talking to the leaders of those stages, those associations, that because you cannot even reach you cannot reach that border unless you go through their own leaders. Truth of market. You walk in that market today in Mbale and you think that those guys are disorganized. They have hierarchy, they have their leaders by section. You better approach them and you go through the leaders. That's how we're doing the thing in Owino. So even when we think people are informal, the level of organization is amazing and makes it easier to help themselves. Just actually yesterday, one of the association leaders came, brought names 2,000 border riders. Each of them wants it registered so they can put their 5,000 shillings into begin savings. So we are penetrating them because we are finding out things we didn't know before about the organizations of these groups.
Okay, and Philip, this is the last one. I would want Geoffrey to answer. Our Toto from Continental FM. She's 68 years. Can she still save? And how often can she make her deposits?
Toto, yes, you've not clapped for me for speaking some matters. So, the way the product is designed, it does not restrict you on the basis of your age. For as long as you still have the means and ability to earn and you want to save, even if you're 70, even if you're 80, you can still save. Frequency. Smart Life is flexible. You can save according to your convenience. So it can be daily, it can be every hour, it can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can even be once a year. So it is totally convenient. It is up to you. Whatever it is that works best for you, you can do.
And someone has asked, is there a cost?
At the side of NSSF, there is no cost.
Yeah. But if you're going to send it through mobile money, the mobile mobile company is the one that will charge you the regular transaction cost that we have. But I think with the Smart Life, the only limitation is the minimum amount you need to deposit is 5,000. Other than that, it is just flexible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Medical doctor who undertakes an examination and advises the fund on whether you qualify. But for context, medical benefits are on the basis that as a result of your illness, you are unable to continue working. So if I'm simply HIV positive, it's not enough to say, let me take the money. You can be HIV positive today, but you will still grow old. You will still need money in old what? Being HIV positive does not mean that you are dying today, okay? You still have a long future ahead of you. So the biggest percentage of medical benefits are paid because you are no longer able to continue working. The only exceptions are cases where the member requires significant amounts for medical care. I have cancer. I'm going for surgery that is expensive. Even if I'm still employed, the fund will pay me. But because there is a back and forth of confirming your condition, then it takes some days. And that's important because many of our members would like to forge. We've got people that come and say they're HIV positive, the doctor examines them and they're negative. Okay? So we don't pay simply because you say you are sick. We pay because the doctors confirm that you are sick. But in any case, for medical cases, we are taking an average of 11 days. That is still not very bad. But for the age benefits, those take 2-3 days. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you. Related to benefits, what the process for survivors' benefits, and related to that is where do we certify the letters of administration, all that you get when you're requiring one to claim survivors' benefits. I think this one wants to know what are the requirements for survivors' benefits and how do you certify your letters?
So the process for survivors' benefit, there are mostly 2-3 important things. Number one, we need to confirm that the member died. Because we have many cases where members have died when they are still alive. Okay? So someone comes and says, oh, my husband died. They can even cry in the office. You go to verify and the man that should be dead is actually alive. So we require a death certificate issued by NIRA. Okay? We require a letter from your LC, especially the area where the burial took place. Depending on the amounts of money involved, we'll also require letters of administration that are issued by the courts of law. These documents combined enable us to go and verify. And we are verifying to confirm, one, that you did, but two, to confirm that the person or persons claiming are your legitimate beneficiaries. The law makes a provision of who your dependents are. Of course, if you make your will, it makes things easier. If you update your information with us, it makes it easier. But even in absence of that, the law recognizes that if you are married and you have children, then your children and spouse are your primary dependents. And that they're the people that are eligible to access your money in the event of death.